test it. Just muting you. Alrighty, let's kick this thing off.
Beautiful. Okay.
So get our beautiful faces.
Awesome. Yep. Welcome, everybody. All right. If you're watching this and you're part of the Shopify Australia group, then you're probably familiar with our weekly Crow audits that we've been doing for the group members live in this group. So what we're starting off today, and hopefully is going to last for a long time, is now we're having Chris McLean. I know we're both Chris's, who's our head of branding at Insightful. We're going to be doing every Monday our branding audits. So very similar, guys. Branding is one of the most important things when it comes to growing a really sustainable, profitable e-commerce business. And if you don't nail this, which a lot of brands do not, then you're simply missing out on really what could be an actually amazing business. So what we'll be doing today is we have a few guests who'll be jumping in. Chris will be pretty much opening up their webpage and their socials and critiquing their branding and just giving a little bit of advice on what they could do, how the messaging could work a lot better, so that they know when their audience clicks onto their website that they're in the right place. And essentially, it's not necessarily conversion rate optimization, but this is something that does drastically affect conversion rates. So it's super important. With that being said, I think, do we have Leonie in at the moment? We'll start jumping guests in.
Naomi's here too.
Yeah, beautiful. Let's go. I think we had Naomi first if she's available. So we'll jump Naomi in. How are you, Naomi? So we just can't hear you there. You might have some mic issues. No worries. Leonie, how are you?
Oh, sorry, I just muted you, Leonie.
Yeah. As she said hi.
Oh, okay.
There we are.
Oh, there we go.
Nice to see you, Leonie.
Gotcha. Oh, we got tech support coming in for Naomi.
All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, way better.
Yes.
All right, beautiful. Nice to meet you. All right. What we'll do is we'll start off. So we'll start off with Naomi. So Leonie, what we'll do is we'll close the video and your microphone until we're up next, and we'll jump into it. All right. So let's go with Naomi. All right, Naomi. Nice to meet you. What we like to do at the start of these is to just have a little introduction to yourself and your business. And maybe you can just run us through how long you've been operating, what kind of a business you are, and kind of where you want to go ultimately.
Sure. So, my name's Naomi. My business is called Pragan, which is a play on words, pram, wagon, Pragan. And I'm the largest retailer of pram wagons in Australia. So they're a new concept. They're different from a pram. They're different from a wagon. They are not the beach carts that you see people using on the beach, which they put kids in. These actually have like 4 seat belts, if it's a 4-seater wagon and things like that. They're absolutely a game changer for our larger families or families with children with additional needs, because they can take up to 130 kilos in weight. So, I mean, you can always use them to get your drunk partner home from the pub even.
Amazing. Yeah, actually, I saw one of these at the beach the other day, and that's what I thought when you were saying that. I thought, is it one of those little carts that I saw at the beach? Yeah, so these are specifically for kids.
They are indeed. They're built for kids. They can take up to 4 children. There's lots of different styles. They're just, so my other business is for parents of twins and triplets. So my larger families, particularly if they've got triplets and a 2-year-old, you just can't get a 4-seater pram that is in Australia, really. I mean, there's 1 or 2, but they're just so clunky and they don't maneuver well and everything like that. These just spin on a dime. Like they're so easy. You can push them one-handed. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And I guess
awesome.
I'd love to know, is this a new business, or because this seems like kind of a hot product?
Yep. So I am not even 18 months into trading. I'm probably about 14, 15 months in.
Yeah.
So it just went gangbusters off the start. And I started just with 1 wagon, the Wonderfold. And now I've got 5 different wagons on there, and I've got another brand has just approached me for a new wagon that's coming to Australia. So that's exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, all right. Into it, Chris.
Cool. So I'll bring you. So essentially, what we're we're looking for, I'll just give a bit of an overview of the two real key things that we look for when we're talking about brand. And really here we're talking about brand messaging. So we're not going to go too deep into like, hey, change your logo and change your colors for the psychology of consumer behavior and all that kind of stuff. We're going to go more into what your site says and whether it says the right thing to incentivize the right person to buy as much stuff from you as possible when they come to the website. So when that ideal customer hits the website, do they go, amazing, this is for me, and it tells me all the stuff that I understand that this is going to solve the biggest problem that I've got. So that's sort of.
I'm nervous
really
but excited. Bring it on. And I won't get upset if you give me bad feedback. That's what I'm here for.
It's constructive criticism.
We'll be gentle. It's your first time. So that's kind of the lens that we're looking at this from. So if I'm the ideal customer, do I hit the website and go, great, I'm in the right place? So let's jump into the website and we'll get into it. So here we go, pragen.com.au. So having a quick, like my initial quick kind of thoughts of in general, and this is, I said we weren't going to look at kind of, I guess, the design aspect of brand, but the one thing that immediately kind of stands out for me here is the price being quite a high-end prime. I know these things are quite expensive generally, but the reflection of kind of the exclusivity, the sophistication, the pricing in the overall kind of look and feel of the brand, everything from fonts to layout, there's a bit of a mismatch there for me. Straight up, that's the first thing. I'm like, a fairly exclusive, $1,600, $2,000 for an item. The overall brand vibe of the website doesn't give me that kind of premium vibe, and it feels like it should have a bit of a premium vibe. And particularly because, as you talked about, the distinction here really is that this is the only one of this thing that you can get. If you want a pram wagon, this is the place, right? Am I understanding that right? Like no one else does pram wagons?
Some of the baby shops do, but it's just in amongst their general baby items that they sell at Baby Bunting or whatever.
No one's just doing these. No one's specializing in these. No. Cool. Yeah, so I mean that's a general kind of vibe, and that's probably a bigger question. Well, that's interesting that you can't actually click on so I don't want to do a crow audit either, but it's interesting that that's not actually clickable. It's something weird's happening on that shop wagons button, that it's kind of giving me like an error. So that's more of a crow thing. But yeah, that's kind of interesting.
We just changed the image.
Sorry, you just updated the image?
We literally just updated the image on Friday, so something's dropped out with that button because it was working on Friday morning.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So look at that because that's kind of broken. Okay. So let's get into messaging. So experience the freedom and the joy of a pram wagon. Sounds pretty nice. Freedom and the joy. The main problem that I've got with it is it doesn't feel specific enough or special enough or exclusive enough. Like freedom and joy are nice emotional things to feel. But ultimately, I'd like to get to like, what's the thing that's giving me that freedom and joy? Does that kind of make sense? Like freedom and joy is what gives. So let's go through that. So what gives me freedom? What's the benefit, the feature, the function? What's the thing that gives me freedom here?
Being able to get out of the house with 4 children under the age of 5, and because I've got friends who literally can't go out unless they've got someone else that can go with them to push another double pram, for example.
Okay, that's good. That's getting really specific, and then the joy of that is the fact that you can do it, right? That it's
Yep.
so. What's the
Absolutely. You
joy?
can do it by yourself. You can leave. You can get out. If you've got a child with special needs who has sensory issues that just wants some quiet time, you can pull the canopy down and you can still go out as a family and get joy out of every day.
Okay. Yeah, so that's getting much clearer. So these things are nice words, but the stuff that you just described isn't here. So that's essentially what we want to kind of bring to life, right? That even as specific as, hey, if you've got 4 kids and you want to go on adventures, this is the product for you. Like that kind of level of that amount of specificity. So that leads me into the second part. So who's the ideal is the ideal buyer someone that's got 4 kids, 2 kids, 3 kids, 1 kid? Is there a specificity on that?
Yep, 2+ kids probably, and anyone with any kind of additional needs in the family, like they could possibly just have a single child in there. Well, 100% they'll have a single child in there as well. But for your general mum and dad at the shops, it's 2 children plus, or anyone with any kind of additional needs, because they're great for kids that abscond and run away and things like that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's now bringing more specificity. And so again, the way we do this when we work through this with clients is we go through about 27 sort of different factors that get into everything from brand voice. Brands give us this specificity of character trait, brand voice, kind of the why, the meaning behind the business, behind the brand, getting really deep into the audience. So what does the audience want? Who are they? What are the problems? What are the really specific problems that we're trying to solve for this person? And that's what I'm talking. I mentioned specificity quite a lot, but that's the stuff that when you say, hey, taking 2 kids out on a day trip is an absolute effing nightmare. We've just solved that for you. Now, when I'm that parent, I go, yes, that is a problem, and great, this is a solution. Whereas that parent coming here and seeing freedom and joy, they've kind of got to figure it out for themselves that that's the problem that it's solving, and that they will, like, the freedom and joy is a nice outcome. So we definitely want that feeling. But the place where this stuff works really amazingly well is when somebody hits the website and this says the thing that they've only ever said to themselves in their own mind, right? And that sort of does 2 things. It goes, I'm in the right place, because they're literally talking about the problem that I face every single day. I've got 3 kids. Taking them out in public is an absolute nightmare, and this is going to fix it. So that's one part. That's where that level of specificity comes in. And the second part is it builds amazing trust, because they go, this brand knows me as well as, if not better than I know myself, because I've never vocalized this stuff really, but they understand me at a level that is, I've only ever said this stuff in my own head. So when that mum that's frantically trying to get 3 kids into a pusher just to go for a bloody walk every day, she hears that message and goes, they understand me. Now the brand means something more to me. I feel like the brand's going to solve my problems. It's not just the commodity of it's great because it fits 4 kids in it. It's solving emotional and psychological problems. It's aligning to belief systems, value systems, these kinds of things. So that's kind of where we want to elevate this stuff to. And again, another reason we want to do that is that just online shopping in general is saturated, and there's lots of people doing lots of different stuff. So this kind of minutia, this fine stuff, is the stuff that really makes a difference, and kind of niching the message down to that singular person. So when that ideal person hits, they go, holy shit, I've never said that, but this brand has just made that thing so much easier for me. And now I love the brand and I get the ethos, and now I'm buying into a philosophy, and all that kind of stuff starts to come into play. That kind of makes sense.
The next line down is probably what I need to move up then. more than mere wagons. They're your key to smoother, safe outings, no more stress, no more safety concerns.
That's getting there.
Mm.
I did like the 2+ kids, the number of kids, the kids
Yeah.
with special needs, like that languaging to me feels like the really powerful thing. Because if that's the problem, like the problem isn't I've got one kid that's a bit of a nuisance.
Yep.
It's I've got multiple kids, or I've got potentially one or multiple kids that have sensory issues. So again, those again, that's almost kind of getting into slightly separate audiences as well.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So this again, where sort of audience nuance does come into play. So in this headline, so I think that what I would do up here is you've got this, and again, I'm assuming this is your H1 tag. So this is your headline tag, your your main piece of text that Google searches, which is why we want to get this right. And then we probably want to add an H2, so a sub headline up into that banner area too, that kind of goes into a bit of the how it does that. So this ultimately, this headline, I want this headline to say, I'm in the right place, and this is exactly the thing that I'm looking for, and it's giving me some kind of personal insight that makes me realize that this business knows something about me, so I've got a bit of trust. The sneaky part is we also want to get Google high traffic Google search terms into this headline as well.
Yeah.
So that's where it kind of gets a bit. So let's look at that for a second. So I'm going to assume that nobody that's looking for this type of product is searching pram wagon. Maybe they are, and they're probably not.
Yeah.
Do
pram
people
wagon
know what
is.
a pram wagon is?
They are when they see one. It makes it. And now there's more and more out. They don't know what to call them. In America, they're called stroller wagons. But we don't really use the term stroller here unless it's just like the little flimsy $19 one from Big W. We use the word pram. So yeah, it's definitely from the keyword research I've done, it's definitely getting more and more popular. Or people will approach the person and see the name of it or something, and then they'll Google the name of the actual, because I sell 5 different brands, and they'll Google the name of the actual wagon.
Right. Okay. So you're a reseller, or you resell other people's brands. These aren't Paragon whams, like whams, prams. Don't call them whams. That's not a good branding idea. I think Paragon's the better way to go. So this is still an important part of our brand messaging, because we also, as much as we want to lead our buyer where we want them to go with our brand, we also want to get them where they're at already. So if somebody that's looking for this in their head would call it something, that's something, that word, that verbiage we'd want to include. So if, for example, if I was looking for this thing, again, I don't have kids, so I'm like the most horrible person to. So I was going to buy this for Paul, and he's got kids, and I was looking for a multi-child pram, or a pram for 2 kids or something. Like whatever that phrase is, that thing, that's something we would want to consider also bringing into either the headline or the sub-headline. Wagon with seats. Okay.
That is one that's kind of Googled a lot.
Okay, so that's the other place we want to go. We want to look at where's the big. So again, pram wagons probably got pretty small in the scheme of things. Probably has pretty small search volume versus something like pram or multi-child pram or child wagon or wagon for multiple kids or 2-up wagon or something like that. So all of those things, those where the traffic is, we also want to consider that. And then, in our copy, we can say something, hey, like, we've revolutionized the multi-child wagon. Well, so you can experience more freedom and joy. So we can use those terms and say, hey, we've changed this thing. You're familiar with this thing. We've spun that thing into this new thing. So that's another way we can do it, sort of from a messaging perspective, is to understand what our brand's going to mean to other people, and what their current understanding is, and what their current expectation is, and then kind of blend that with, okay, we're going to pick you up where you are, and we're going to transport you into the amazing world of our products. Does that make sense?
Yep, definitely.
Okay, and you got a bit of an idea of kind of what those terms might be?
Yeah, I do. I've been playing around with the tagline. This is about the 15th one that I've had.
Yeah, it's
I'm trying to get it right. So I'm hearing you. I think down on the bottom of my website, I still in the about. Yeah, I've got getting out of the house with the kids more enjoyable. That was my kind of first one. For everyone, like right down the very bottom in the footer. That was kind of my first one, but yeah.
Our mission is to help families enjoy getting outdoors, make being out of the house with the kids more enjoyable for everyone. Yeah, I mean that is.
So that was my first one I started with. Was the for everyone part, make it being out of the house with the kids more enjoyable for everyone, because it's not just the kids, it's the parents as well that need to enjoy their day out, or else you're not going to go.
So again, this is nice, but this could be any product. This could be a teething ring that makes it more. This could be a hat, an umbrella, a pair of shoes, a jumper. So like that tagline could be it. Like I could pick this text up and put it on about 20 different product sites, and it would make sense. So that's again that specificity. So why does it make being out of getting out of the house with two kids on and getting them into the stroller, or taking your kids out in a stroller, taking your kids out in a pram easier. So I always want to bring it back to the product.
Yeah. Okay.
Because again, this is even the mission. Like our mission is to help families enjoy getting outdoors with multiple kids in the pram. Like, I want to get that specificity of how are we solving that problem? What's the specific, like getting outdoors isn't the problem.
Yeah.
It's getting outdoors with 2+ kids that are difficult to get into a stroller, that are hard to entertain, that need extra support, that have sensory issues. So all of these things are the specific things for your business that make it distinct to every other business. So the more you can get that stuff in, then that mum that's struggling with 2.5 kids, don't know if you can have half, two and one in the belly, right? That knows I'm going to have 3 now, so I need this thing that's going to be able to carry 3 kids, and it's already difficult. She's going to hit the website and go, oh, this is a godsend. This is speaking my language. Like this is now like that's the thing. Like this is speaking my language. And it's always this interesting kind of trade-off with branding, where we want to have a message and we want to say stuff and we want to talk about our thing, which is really important. And that's generally where we start. We kind of make these hypothetical assumptions about what our brand should be. And we go, I reckon this feels right. And we put that out. And then the market kind of picks it up and goes, yeah, I get what you're saying, but now this is kind of what it means to me. And they kind of get this interplay then. And that's where the messaging changes over time to incorporate. Hey, we went out and said, it's a pram wagon. And then all of our testimonials and our reviews and our socials, when people talked about it, they talked about it as a 2-child wagon, or they said that they enjoyed it was more comfortable. And we've never said that it was comfortable. It was enjoyable and safe. But everyone in our testimonial says it was comfortable for my child, and that's why they loved it. My child loved the journey. My child would, right? So we can look through those things and be like, okay, well, that's what the market's saying. That's not what we initially kind of thought from our side, but everyone's saying that. So now let's bring that into the messaging too.
Yeah.
So it's always this kind of evolving thing of you kind of never one and done with a brand. You can kind of get it pretty much right. But then it will evolve as you, particularly new businesses and particularly e-commerce businesses, as you get feedback, you kind of merge that in and adjust over time. And I'm kind of jumping around a bit, but that specificity, that's the stuff that, again, I'd get into this thing. So think through what is the actual mission. So just to talk about kind of our process, by the mission, the vision and mission is actually the last thing we do at the tail end of about 4 or 5 hours of one-to-one calls when we do this with our e-commerce circle clients one-to-one. So the vision and mission is literally the last thing that we kind of put together. And the second last thing is the positioning. So the USP, the unique positioning, the distinction, where we are in the market compared to competitors. That's the kind of the last thing we do after we've really understood who we are as business owners, what the brand is, how the brand appears in the world, and who the customer is. And once we've got all of that and that kind of fits, then we go, right, now what's the unique thing? What's the distinction? So mission kind of comes right at the end, and that's why we're then able to go, the mission's actually this thing. It's actually this specific thing. It's helping families with 2 or more kids travel safely and comfortably, something like that, right? But that specificity kind of comes through that process of going through it that way, that the vision and mission kind of comes out of having done all the work on who's this for, where are they at, why would they want to buy it, what's the real problem that we're actually trying to solve here. Let's have a look through. So I mean, this place, testimonials, in terms of like getting this done, testimonials, reviews, social comments on ads, all that kind of stuff, that's a gold mine in terms of what do people say about it. So look here, fanatic. I'm assuming they meant fantastic, but she might be fanatical about the stroller wagon, right? So here, this person's used the term stroller wagon. This person's mentioned it as a storage hack, quality and design. So even here, we've kind of got some distinctions. Multi-purpose tote, easy to store. So storage has come up a couple of times here just in comments. And I don't know that we mention storage anywhere in the text. So we're talking about reducing, reduce stress and overwhelm, because you can bring all your stuff with you because it's got such amazing storage. Right, so just by quickly looking at some of your testimonials, we've got some languaging that customers are giving us that we're not talking about. Great wagon. Again, these are a bit cut off. Yes, so game changer for machine is game changer for special needs.
Yeah.
So again, like testimonials, reviews is a gold mine for how people actually speak about your product, and that's kind of what I talked about, that trade-off before.
Yeah.
So these just very quickly, kind of looking at here, a lot of people have talked about this being a storage solution. So there's obviously something about the way that this allows people to store all of their stuff and take everything with them. That's an actual real benefit and feature that we've not spoken about as the brand. So now knowing that, that's probably something that we might even want to bring into our headline or our sub-headline. And that's kind of going into the freedom, right? The freedom and the joy is you can store all your stuff. You can not only store the kids, you can store all of their stuff. There's plenty of room for everything you need to carry as a busy parent. Hey, we know as parents, taking your kids out isn't just 1, 2, 3. It's 1 to 100. It's all of the stuff and the accessories and the diapers and the nappies, and you've got to have everything with you. This allows you to do that very easily and quickly. You can literally just store stuff in here and have it ready to go out. So there's some language in there. There's some brand terminology, some messaging. That now that we know that's something that somebody's looking for when they come here and they say, hey, this is also a storage solution, and it solves the problem of storing. You don't have to carry a bag, maybe, right? So storage is a thing that we could tie into here. Does that sound like something that you've heard in feedback? Or that
Yeah,
you've considered?
definitely. Some of those reviews were about the accessories, but yeah, definitely,
Okay.
I've got so much storage on them.
Okay. Yeah, so I think like that
Awesome.
was really an example of looking at
Yeah.
ways that you can start to work on this stuff without going through an entire brand process. But hey, we always do suggest that a really good first place to start with your website is on this brand messaging piece, because you kind of get the idea of how important it is that when that custom hits your site, you've got 7 seconds, 10 seconds for them to go, I'm in the right place, and this is going to do the thing that I want it to do. And the more specific and niche that is, the better it's going to resonate with that person in that moment that they're looking at it. So I'm assuming, Chris, we probably want to potentially move on to...
Yeah. I think what I'd do quickly is, Naomi, James mentioned something. I don't want to share the information you shared with us about the business, publicly, but I just feel like you guys have some pretty monster potential, like with the actual product itself being pretty great. What are your goals within the next, I don't know, say year or so, year to 2 years?
Well, really, just to make them. I mean, they're the third kind of baby transport. Basically, you've got your pram, your stroller, and now you've got your pram wagons. Just really to get them out and about. And the more that people buy and take to their shopping centres, take along the Esplanade or wherever they are, the more the name's going to get out there as well, because it's the kind of product that once you see it, you're like, oh my God, what is that? That's amazing.
Why don't I have one?
Yeah.
Where do I get it?
So really, it's just to keep growing. There's more stroller wagons that they're trying, and more pram wagons, and well, the Americans call them the stroller wagons, that they're trying to get the Australian certification for, because Australian certification for safety standards is so hard to get compared to America. So there's another 10 brands in America that we don't have here. So my goal is also to basically have a platform, so then when they're ready to come to Australia, there's a platform ready for them to sell on, basically, because I've also got a community, a closed Facebook group, and things like that. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, I mean, I just see a lot of potential. Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
So just one more thing. So are you exclusively selling to Australia, or are you selling globally?
No, because so I'm selling a bit to New Zealand, but that's it at the moment.
But Australia and New Zealand?
Yeah, but I've only just sold a few recently to New Zealand. Again, there've been special needs ones that people have found out about them, and
Yeah,
cool. So again, just as a general overview design thing, this looks very American. I'm assuming all the products are from a lot of these photos are from American suppliers.
Yeah, so the wonderful ones are, some of them are mine.
Okay. Yeah, some of them were quite like it looks American.
Dress.
It doesn't have that sort of Australian feel to it.
Yeah,
that's another kind of feel vibe. If you're selling to Australians, put Australians in the images.
Yeah.
I use Australians broadly, but you want to see Australian wildlife, Australian trees, Australian grass. It kind of just gives it that, okay, again, I'm in the right place, and this is a for me type product.
Yeah, it's really great. What I think we'll do, because I think we can dive into this a whole lot more, and I think there's like a lot of things you could do to grow pretty quickly if that's what you're looking to do. So I'll have James reach out to you again, Naomi, just to put us back in contact, because I think we can go into this a little bit deeper if you're open to it later in the week. But let's move over to Leonie. So thank you so much, Naomi, for joining in.
Naomi. Hopefully that was helpful.
It was a lot of fun. We'll jump into Leonie. You can go ahead, unmute yourself, and again, introduce yourself, your business, and we can jump straight into it.
Oh, sure. Okay, thanks. I've got the Diabetes Kitchen, which sells ready-made meals all around Australia, as well as breakfast, lunch, snacks, and meal plans. So they're all tailored for people with diabetes. I started in 2014, and I made $1 million errors along the way, and then I got it fixed up in 2019. I've got the right product now, so yeah.
Beautiful. What made you get into this niche?
My daughter got diabetes way back then, and then I got it. So, and it was just too hard to read all the ingredients and, work out sugar and foods and carbs and all that. So this is all clearly on the packaging, and it just makes it much easier, mealtime much easier for diabetics.
Got it. So you're really solving a problem here, the business, which is what I think is always a good place to start. If you can solve a problem, that always makes the product like way more valuable in people's eyes. So anyone watching this, if you do have diabetes, you want some easy meals to buy, go ahead to the diabeteskitchen.com.au, shop around. That's what we like to do. Anytime we have someone come on, we like to promote their stuff. So let's jump into it. Chris, you got that website?
Just diabeteskitchen.com.au.
The Diabetes
I'm just
Kitchen.
putting it up.
Send you that link. Yeah.
The Diabetes Kitchen.
How long have you been operating for, Leonie?
10 years, but properly for the last 4.5 years.
Yeah. And when you say properly, what's the difference?
I was doing fresh meals and just doing around Melbourne, but it was impossible. And I had people all over Australia saying, send me meals, and refrigerated couriers are just a nightmare. So I went to pressure cooked meals, which means you just store them in the pantry for up to 2 years and you can ship them anywhere. Do you want me to give you the website?
You should have it there, Chris.
Oh, I've got it here.
I've just sent it to you. Yeah.
Yep.
We should be good. Yeah, that's a good idea. So the issue was with fresh meals, so you've turned into a way where, that's good. All right. Yep. We can see it.
There we
All
go.
right. Let's jump in.
Cool. All right. I mean, I don't want to go into crow stuff, but this menu needs to be cleaned up. Okay, diabetic meals and meal plans. So again, from an SEO perspective, this is a great headline. This is definitely what people are going to be searching for. But in meal plans, but in terms of brand, it doesn't give me too much of a sense of kind of the emotional appeal, if that makes sense. Like it's very direct, and it's definitely what you do. So it's definitely what you do. What I don't get immediately is kind of how or why you do it, or who. I guess it's for people with diabetes. But what makes these meal plans different to any other diabetic meal plan? Like diabetic meal plan.
Yeah.
Sorry, go through.
Just the fact that the carbs and sugars are color coded and printed on the package. So whereas nobody else is doing that, and nobody else is doing these pressure cooked meals either. Which means the other food companies, even like Light and Easy, there are certain parts of Australia they just don't deliver to because they can't. So I can deliver anywhere.
Yeah, awesome. So there's a couple things. So we've clearly color coded the carbs and sugar content. Yeah. So that's something that I would make a big song and dance about. So that sounds like that's something that's really unique and that is really beneficial. So that's that color coding of carbs and sugar. So whether we say that it's color coding or we say, diabetic meal plans, diabetic meals and meal plans that are super they're ridiculously easy to understand, or they're super easy to understand, or the easiest to understand diabetic meal plans, or something like that kind of gives me that unique benefit that this isn't just a diabetic meal plan. This is a meal plan that's really easy to follow, and it's really easy to understand the carbs and sugars that you're getting. What the content of those is literally on the package. And then you talked about the actual the packaging or the sealing of them is the pressure cooking. Was that what you said? The way they're cooked, the way they're prepared, is that unique as well?
It is. It happens a lot in America, but we're so far behind here in technology. So it is quite new here.
Okay. So what do you call that? You said pressure cooking, was that the term?
It is pressure cooking. They're called retorted meals, but nobody knows what that means. So yeah, I just use the words pressure cook because everyone knows that. So they know what
Okay,
pressure
so
cooking is.
what does that give me? What does a pressure cooked meal versus a non-pressure cooked meal give me beneficially? Is there more nutrition? Is it more easily digested? Is it more efficacious? What's the uptick?
So there's a number. It locks in maximum nutrition rather than fresh or frozen meals. They've got more liquid in them because they're pressure cooked. So for people, and most of my customers are older and have chewing problems, my meals are quite liquidy, so they're easy for people to eat and digest. And like I said, they don't go in the fridge or freezer. So the customers just keep them in the pantry. And lots of older people don't have big fridges or freezers anymore.
Okay. So there's a bunch of stuff there to unpack. Okay, so that method of cooking, that's something I'd want to talk about and make that so it's more nutritious. I wouldn't talk so much about, hey, it's pressure cooked, because again, you're making people kind of do the work of figuring out why that's useful. I want to go to the benefits of it being pressure cooked is these are the most nutritious diabetic meals that you could possibly eat.
So I've got all that about us. I've got, if you click on about us, you'll see why something about our meals, why we do our meals that way with all the,
Okay. Yep. So we'll kind of get to that. So that's good, but I want that here. I want that before I have to go and find it. Right. So for me as a user, I want to hit this kind of above the fold piece, which basically above the fold is before I scroll, and definitely before I click. And like a lot of people do this. They go, oh, it's in my about us, or it's in my footer, or it's the 7th panel down on the bottom of the site. Yeah. But I'm never going to get there if this doesn't tell me that I'm in the right place immediately. I mean, the benefit of your product is if I'm a diabetic, I kind of go, right, I'm in the right place. These are diabetic meals. But it doesn't give me the distinction of why this particular diabetic meal is going to be better than the next one. So if I opened up 7 diabetic meal tabs, I might just go, oh, okay, those ones are cheaper. I'll buy those. Versus if I read this and it says, hey, these are the most nutrition-packed diabetic meals for older people. If that's that's the next bit I kind of want to get into, but that's now a specific promise to somebody. So that's that packing, the more nutrition. I think that's something that you definitely want to bring up, and the like putting this color coded part into whether that's like easier or it's more convenient or it's safer, something like that, right? There'd be a language there of what that thing gives me. The color coding makes it easier. The color coding, I'm guaranteed to get the right nutrition. It's easier to pick which one to have. Like there's something in that I want to phrase that and put that in here somewhere as well. And that's probably something that would go into the sort of the subheadline of the why, like the why and the how is, hey, we color code it so that you know exactly what to have at what meal, because you can match it to your insulin levels or whatever, right? But the nutritional part, we cook it so it's more nutritional. That's something I'd want to get into here. So these might be the most nutritional diabetic meals. So that's already telling me something that these are actually more nutritional. Now I'm like, oh, what? Like, why? How? And then that's when you can explain further down, because we cook it this way, because we color code it. But I want something in this top section that kind of goes, oh, this is different. There's something unique here. Sure. So those two things. The third thing, which is also really important, is who mostly buys this from you. You sort of mentioned older people because it's cooked in a way where they don't have to chew as much, etc. Is that a real core segment, or is that 50% of your market? Is that 90% of your market?
So I've got 50% of my customers are males who don't want to cook, which is fair enough. And I would say that, and the other part, some of them are grown-up children buying for their parents. And some of them are just like 60 buying for themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a young market. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody
Yeah.
under 45 would be interested.
Okay, so I mean that's pretty clear. So we can speak to those again. Those are some more distinct problems that we're solving, right? So it's easier, it's more convenient, it's less hassle. These types of things. If you're buying for your parents, you can buy these and know that they're going to get all their nutritional needs met. If you're buying for yourself, you know that you get these cook in 5 minutes. It's stress free, it's easier, it's faster. All these types of things. I think this is some language that'd be good to get up into this section. So even this like ready to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Could that be, breakfast, lunch, and dinner in under 5 minutes? In less than 5 minutes, in 2 minutes. Right, so it's giving me a specific. It's not just ready to eat. It's ready to eat in under 2 minutes. So now that busy person, it's either got to pop over and put lunch on, make dinner for dad or make it for themselves. Now I know it's going to be. I've got a time constraint. 3 minutes, cool. That fits my lifestyle. Rather than just saying it's sort of ready to eat, getting that specificity. Kind of get into meal plans. So again, it's kind of got some ideas on the sorts of stuff that would be good to bring into that top section.
Okay.
So again, delicious and convenient. Nutritious. Delicious is one and convenience one, but the nutrition kind of isn't in here, and that feels like the way you cook it is like it's specifically to make it more nutritious. So again, when I'm a diabetic, I'm looking for, I want health, right? My ultimate outcome is more health. So the faster you can give me health and the easier you can make getting healthy for me, the better. So that's sort of how I would think about this messaging. And then in terms of who you're messaging it to, managing. So here we're talking, make it easier for those managing all types of diabetes. Here you might say for people over 50 or people living on their own, right? There'll be something about that person, that profile of that person. For men over 40 that couldn't be bothered, or for men over 40 that want fast meals, and for those caring for an elderly parent, we can help you manage their diabetes and make mealtime easier. Okay, so gluten-free, diabetic-friendly soups. Okay, so let's have a look at some testimonials. Being superimposed of quality and taste. So taste, you talk about delicious, so that's kind of good. That's in there. Quick, easy, delicious, filling. 53, we've got a bit of age range in here. And I'm sure you got many more of these, just trying sort of looking at what we can see. Okay, so this is good. So if someone else can count the carbs and cook my food at this stage, I'm very grateful. So that's kind of an insight that you talked about there. Like if we could make that, turn that into something unique that we talk about. We do all the work for you. That could be an approach. If you're diabetic and you want someone just to take care of it for you, that's what we do. So we don't just make it easier for you and more nutritious. We've done all the work. You just got to stick it in the microwave. So it's taking all of the hassle out of it for them. Okay, and there's some weight loss, so that's good too. And what else have we got? It's just at 2 months. So their levels are good. That's good. 90-year-old with a sweet tooth. Okay, so a lot of kind of what you're describing is in there. But I think like that fast, easy, like do it for me, that done for you formula is really good for this type of market where you know that they really just couldn't. They've got a big problem and they just couldn't be bothered doing it themselves.
Okay.
No worries. We'll take care of your health for you almost. Like we know you need to be healthy, but this is as done for you as possibly can be. Like we've taken all of the hassle out. We've even color coded it for you. It's that simple. I think that's the vibe that I would be going towards. So you need to reattach your Instagram feeds as well.
No, it's not Instagram. It's something else. I took it off completely and deleted it, so I don't know why that's still there. I'll have a look. Yeah.
Cool. See what's on special. Okay. About our meals. Using locally sourced Australian fresh produce, are delicious and healthy. Meals are pressure cooked in a pouch, ensuring nutrition, flavor, and aroma are sealed in. Yeah. So I mean that's good. But again, I think there's some more you could do around the real.
Yep.
So again, when we go through this brand process, what we want to get to is what's the real problem? Like what's the core thing? What's the thing that keeps this customer up at night? Like if I could fix that, my life would be 10 times better, or it would solve a thing for me. That's the thing that we want to harp on and just go, we've got you. We got you covered. That's exactly what we do. We understand you. We know that you're struggling with this thing, and that's exactly what we fix. And our whole business is based around fixing that thing for you.
Okay.
Can I cut in for a second there, Chris?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure. So this is just more for everyone else watching. So obviously this is super specific to Leonie, but if you're watching this and you're a similar business where your product, the way it cuts through the market is that it has a really unique selling point that kind of fixes an issue that the rest of the market doesn't have. For example, with Leonie here, the fact that you color code all your products, the shelf life thing is definitely, that seems more like a business solution to me, but like in terms of your marketing, what people want, the fact that you color code things is a big problem solver. And when that's the way that you differentiate yourself in the market, typically your marketing is going to have a lot of focus on that unique selling point. So Chris has probably already, explained this to you 1,000 times, but just people watching this, for your own business, if you have a product like that where it's something that separates you, that's like Chris has been saying, you really got to make sure that kind of shines through in your branding. So I just want to kind of like jump in there for a sec, but go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I mean you will, if you've ever done branding before, you would have heard of unique selling proposition or USP. And really that's what we're talking about here. Like you want to find your thing. Another part of the process that we do when we go through these branding pieces is we'd love to have an only statement, what we call an only statement. So if you can have an only statement, which is something to the effect of, we are the only business brand that does this thing, or we are the only business that does this thing in this way for this type of person, that's something nobody else can compete with. If you can kind of line those three things up and go, that's what's unique about us, is we do this thing for this person in this way. And we know that's our sole focus, and everything we do is driving around those three things. And that's what we do better than anyone. Then for that person, this becomes the solution, right? So it kind of knocks out, takes competition out a little bit because nobody else is you. They don't have the same philosophy. They're not driven by the same values. They're not driven by the desire for a particular outcome for a particular person. Somebody else might do a diabetic meal plan, but it's for 20-year-olds, right? So it's a completely different thing. The product might be the same, but the promise and the value and the philosophy and why you do what you do and who it's for, all of that stuff is the uniqueness in your brand. And that's ultimately what you want to bring out as much as possible in the messaging.
Yeah.
I also feel like, Leonie, like you had this story you told me at the start about like you and your daughter as well. Even that in itself is like a way to connect yourself to that audience you're trying to sell to. So
that goes on the front page because I've got it in the tab called About Us. I don't know. Yeah,
so this can be a funny place. Some people like, yep, I want to be the front of my brand, and I'm happy to be out there and tell my story. And
I don't, because I hope to sell the business,
and others are happy to be in the background. But there's always a way to. So again, that's literally the first thing we do when we do these brand strategies. I know we keep coming back to this, but the first thing we do is we spend about an hour going into your why, which is why this business. And for you, there's a reason that you started this business, right? So once we really get really clear on that why and what your values are, we can sort of pass that value system into the brand values. So then even if you're not front and center, your face on the front of the website, what the brand stands for is what you stand for as the owner. So then the brand is you, and then we can use the brand and the brand language to message your values into the customer base. So there's multiple ways we can do it. Some people are happy to be kind of front and center and be on the video and be the face of the business. Some would prefer to kind of be in the background and let the brand do the talking. But it's really important that we understand that stuff and that why and the meaning, because that's what literally gives the meaning to the brand. Like, why does this thing exist? Why should I care about this brand? Why should I buy from you versus someone else? And if I can go, the person that started this business, whether I know that it's Leonie or not, they went through something and they built this because they had this problem and this was a solution for it. So you can always take that story and kind of bring that story into the brand in lots of different ways, but depends, again, obviously how comfortable you are in being authentic and real and telling that story straight. But knowing that and having that as an essential part of the brand is very important. And kind of going to solve the problem, not always hiding it in the About Us page. Because from a brand and kind of from a conversion perspective, I mean, I say this, I don't know that we say this, but I say this all the time. We like to assume that people are time poor and kind of stupid. And I don't mean that in the way that people are stupid, but we don't want to make them work, right? If I see words in here and I go, oh, I've got to work out, like on Naomi's site, we kind of talked, there's no freedom and joy. Nice ideas, but if I've got to go, well, what does that actually mean? Now I've got to do work and I'm thinking and the problem's not solved for me. So that's what I mean by assume that your audience is time poor and dumb. They don't have time to figure out what you're trying to sell them. You need to tell them and be very specific so they don't have to think. They go, they already get me. I just need to click buy and it's going to show up and it's going to fix my thing. So as much as possible, that's kind of a lens that we can kind of look at it from. Let's assume people don't want to think and don't want to spend time trying to figure stuff out. We need to surface that really quickly so that when they hit, they go, cool, I'm in the right place and this is the right thing for me. Yeah. So hopefully that kind of clarifies and gives an idea of how we approach these things.
Yeah, beautiful. And the goal, Leonie, so you mentioned, is to sell the business in a few years. Is there kind of like a plan at the moment?
Yeah, or just get somebody to come in with me, but somebody who's got experience in this industry. You know, So that's ideally what I'd like to do. I'd like to sell off half of it, so keep half of it and sell off half of it, but not to anybody. It has to be somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. Cool. Did you have much else to go through, Chris? I think we've done a pretty solid.
No,
hour.
I think that's probably. I'd say heard you typing notes, so you probably got a good list of things to look at. And ultimately, if you really want help with this, we do this all day, every day, and we're very well placed to sort of help you think. So a lot of the reason, one of the biggest outcomes of doing this process with someone is that you get to elicit things that you don't think of or you haven't thought about before, or a way to phrase something. So it's a very consultative process, and similar to how we've gone through on the call today, it's about getting you to think about something in a way that you might not have thought about before and go, oh yeah, that's actually really cool. That's really special. That's what I do. Because as business owners, we don't sit around just thinking about our brand strategy and messaging every day. We've got a lot of other shit to do, and we focus on that, and we've got operations, and we've got to fulfill, and we've got to pack orders, and we've got to do all this other stuff. So thinking about this stuff in a different way, creative way, isn't a thing that we do all the time. So it can be really beneficial to kind of just have someone talk, even if it's your partner, sit down with your partner and go, hey, or a friend and go, hey, I'm trying to solve this thing, and get a bit of an outside influence into it. Because it can be very beneficial just to get someone else to kind of crack open your mind a bit and get a bit of a brainstorm happening.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, with that being said, guys, so I want to thank both Leonie and Naomi for jumping on today. It was really awesome for both of us. So I'll have James just follow up with both of you. If you'd like, we can reconnect later in the week. But one thing I'll say is, for anyone watching this, if you do want to improve your brand communication strategy, We actually do have a course that's 30% off at the moment. It's a really easy way to get in at a kind of low entry level and just learn how to start changing your brand communication for your own business. But if you'd like to work directly with our team at Insightful, again, we're Insightful who runs the Shopify Australia group. We have what we call the e-commerce circle, and it's our community where we basically work really closely together with other business owners in Australia who want to scale up their e-commerce store profitably. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, just get in touch with me, Chris McLean, anyone from the team in the group, and we'll kind of take you through the next steps. So thank you everyone for paying attention. Hope you had a really good time, and we have our next Crow Audit live coming up this Wednesday. So make sure you're tuning in for that. Otherwise, everyone have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you guys.
See you again next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.